an Odyssey sports station.
WROCAM, WBE, HD2, and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. Welcome into the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, where the voice of the Rochester fan is heard. Pull up a stool and join us at 866-4326. This is WGR Rochester, and the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia is on now.
2 hours of sports talk excellence here in the Flower City. You found us. Sun is out. It is a Friday. We have Sabre playoff hockey. Life is good. Thanks for joining us. Gene Battaglia with you here on Rochester Sports Leader. Our phone number 585-866-4326. You can join us anytime. You can write to us on X at WGR Rochester. You can leave a comment on our YouTube page. We are live now on YouTube and Twitch, 95.7 FM, AM 950. Always free in the Odyssey app. We're on here in the Flower City 1 to 3 p.m. weekdays. And if that doesn't fit your schedule or life gets in the way, download the Odyssey app. You can listen to the show at any time. If you want to listen to one of the interviews we had, specifically, let's say, Thad Brown yesterday was fantastic, talking some Bills and Sabres. You can go back and listen. Everything is in bite-sized form wherever you get your fine audio. My name is Gene Battaglia. Tim Schneider, our fine producer here. First time we've done a show together since Tuesday, and I'm happy to report to everyone that Tim is alive.
I am here. I don't know if I'm alive, but I am here. I might have been dead for the last couple of years. I might be dying, but the results are in, and they didn't call me back in, so I've got to find out in 2 weeks. It's like a long tease on my own life.
So we need to come up with a plan because I was not here Wednesday, and I've run this by people. Good friend of the show, Mike Whittemore. I'm like, he's like, why? Like, I think Tim's ready. Like, hand the baton off. Like, if something happens to me and, like, I can't make and do the show, life gets in the way sometimes. I think Tim is ready, so I'm gonna talk to management and say if you're up for it, I don't.
Hand me the keys, just don't let me crash it. I'll go the speed limit.
No, you'll crash it. I think no. That's why you're a terrible time, Timmy. We got a lot of stuff to get to here, including breaking news. We'll get to that in a second. But first, let's tell you what's coming up on the show today. 2 o'clock hour. It's the return of Fairburn Fridays. If you were with us in the original shows, Fairburn Friday was a thing, 2016. He is with now The Athletic, and he went from, in that time, covering the Buffalo Bills to covering the New England Patriots to coming back to Western New York and covering the Buffalo Sabres. And he's a good friend of the show, Matthew Fairburn, joining us here in hour number 2. Hour number 1, we haven't talked to Dennis Bernstein in quite some time. Dennis Bernstein, the fourth period, love talking NHL, so we will get his perspective on what is happening here in Western New York, as it really is. These are great times. Dennis Bernstein will join us here in just a few minutes. Again, our phone number is 866-4326. That's the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com. Thank you to Ed and Bruce. And certainly our guy, Jack in Avon, everybody who wrote in and says, okay, yes, we certainly respect the man who we lost this week. But for now, this is our way of respecting the late John Sterling by still playing this sounder.
Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
So just as we were coming on the air, like, oh, here it is. And only the NFL can do this. Because it was the NFL last night that sent season ticket holders, or maybe you're on their list, an email, and it was just the vague, hey, the announcement of the release date of the NFL schedule is coming soon. I'm like, okay, why is this so secretive? Just tell us. And they just did. So the NFL schedule will be released on the 14th. So that is next Thursday. Do we have a time on that? I'm going to say it's prime time, 7, 8 o'clock, something like that.
They haven't announced that yet, though.
Oh, my goodness. You're kidding. So wait a second. This is like 4 announcements now. So last night is an announcement of the announcement is coming, and now we announce the date, And now we'll announce the time and then announce all the schedules. So do I have that right? It's an announcement of an announcement, announcing the time announcement of the whole schedule.
Yes, there's been an announcement that has been announced, an announcement that is announcing, an announcement that announces, and then the actual announcement, which is really, the schedule is the announcement, right? Like, that's what we're doing in May. And then they announce the announcement, and then we sit on that for 4 months, and we get excited all the while. I don't know how you guys do it. This does not do anything for me, and we've gone over this before. You guys are going to eat this up. I'll follow along. I just can't understand how we get suckered into the announcement to the announcement to the announcement to the announcement to the announcement. And then it's announced, and then we talk about it for like 3 weeks.
So the executive producer loves art. And, okay, we'll go when we go to, like, New York or Montreal. Like, okay, we're going to go to an art museum. And Tim, there was a time when, just to show that I was a better announcement, that somebody would do a painting, and in this room there are paintings of other paintings and paintings of other paintings. Like a mirror of a mirror of a mirror of a mirror. Like, okay, stop. Stop.
Yo, dog, I heard you like art in your art,
like,
so we put art in your art so you can art while you art.
Yeah, art. This is what the NFL is doing. And some people would say, Gene, you're moving the goalpost here. No, I'm not. I am not moving the goalpost because, Tim, if I admit, this is the fun part about sports, okay? This is not real life, okay? There are big problems in the world. We know this. You come here for sports. And if we want to debate sports topics, and if you can win somebody over like you're the lawyer talking to a jury, that's fun. And, Tim, for the first time in the sports bar, I'm going to admit that you were right on that.
Oh, my God. That, I don't have a sounder for that because it's unprecedented. That
It's
might be,
not-
that might, we might just have to do this again.
Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
That's the first time that, all right, I can be swayed on this because when the I love when the schedule comes out. I'm not changing on that. When it comes out on Thursday, I will look at it, and it does matter for competitive reasons. It does matter. When are you playing the Chiefs? How many primetime games are you? How many short weeks are you on? All of that matters. We already know the Bills aren't going overseas, but for teams that may not know that they're going, okay, surprise, you're going to London, da-da. That all that matters, Tim. But this is now the NFL at its worst. They know this. And for last night just to say, hey, we're going to announce the date, that this is coming, okay, great. And we'll get to Thursday. But as I'm doing the math in my head, okay, let's see. What is our lead story coming up next Thursday? Today, Game 2. Sunday, Game 3. Tuesday, Game 4. Is this series going to be a sweep, Tim? No.
Chances are low.
Chances are low. I'm going to guess that Montreal is going to take at least one. So, Game 5 on Thursday. And you know what Thursday is? Thursday is... the NFL wants you to, like, wait around and log on to NFL.com or, better yet, watch NFL Network. Whatever it is. Give them the click, the like, whatever it is. No, don't do it. Like, if we find out dates in advance, we'll pass them along to you. And there are teams that kind of leak this to their own media. The Jets, somehow, their schedule always gets out. The Dolphins' schedule always gets out. So we don't want to... There was one year the Bills' schedule came out, and it was great. And we had it. We've read it. It was like, yeah, they can't do anything about it. So many people will see this that you will have leaks. Now, there will also be the whole element of next week, get ready for the PR machine in the NFL being fired up. Hey, coming up on today's show, we will tell you who's coming up on the opening Sunday night game. Be sure to tune in at 8:05 this morning on the Today Show. I don't even know if that is the exact time, Tim, and I don't know why I'm using this fake DJ voice, but that's what it is. They're going to tease that. They're going to make sure that you're going, and we already had other nuggets. For instance, it sounds like YouTube is not going to get anything, that they lost down on their bid. I don't care. Just put the games on network TV or wherever they're accessible. I think in this day and age, most of us subscribe to Netflix. I think Netflix should be forever be shamed. Wasn't their original marketing campaign, hey, share the password, and then until they realized, wait a second, we're losing a lot of money by doing this. No more sharing passwords. Okay, well, then you promised this, and you took it away from us. Sounds like the Thanksgiving Eve game is going to be on Netflix, which, again, this is now falling into my, okay, this is like you went from something that we really, really love, the NFL, to you're getting a little piggish here. Like, no one is asking for Wednesday night football the night before Thanksgiving. Like, let's gather around, family. Nope. Like, it should be just Thanksgiving by itself. Before you know it, we'll have games every night of the week, and you think I'm kidding?
Oh man, we've talked about this in jest for years, but we're coming down that path. Yeah, the NFL has taken their money and run, and then had people follow them to give more money. So that's where we are there.
Yeah. So it's Thursday, NFL schedule release day, and we'll still have a Sabres Montreal series to talk about at that point. And even if we don't, I say unthinkable, but it still is a possibility. Imagine if the Sabres swept the series, and then we're on to Carolina. Yes, it's Carolina. They defeated Philadelphia last night. Somebody from ESPN tweeted out, like, because Colorado's won all their games and Carolina's won all their games, give us this as the NHL Stanley Cup final. Colorado's really good. Colorado's going to be, a real pain on the other side. Give me Vegas. I, at the risk of the Sabres losing, you cannot be afraid. Like, there are some people in Western New York that would be like, no, we can't have Jack Eichel beat us. Or, oh, no, I'd rather see Colorado win the cup. Bring me Vegas. Bring them to me for the final. That is where I'm planting my flag. And, Tim, I don't think you can move me off it. Now, that's kind of what Colorado's really good. I think Carolina's kind of in a bind here. They're going to be sitting around at least a week, right? We would figure their series could be wrapped up tomorrow night against Philadelphia. I don't see the Flyers all of a sudden standing up and winning one or two of these series. Maybe they'll take one, but this series, Buffalo-Montreal, going a minimum of 6. I said Buffalo in 7 at the beginning. And what adjustments will Montreal make tonight? We'll ask Matthew Fairburn coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. But one thing that was evident to me in Game 1 was, are they going to get, like, physical in the blue line here? I thought, like, I remember always with Laval, the Jacques brothers were always, oh, gosh, here they come. No, they didn't really have much of that. So will we see a different Montreal team, a little more physical here in this matchup? In Montreal, like, they dealt with that in the Tampa series, and then they ended up getting by. You knew Tampa, if they were going to beat Montreal, they would be, throwing their bodies around and everything. Just for the Sabres, just simply tonight, stay out of the box. Stop with the stupid turnovers, too. And I'm looking at you, Tage Thompson. That was not a good game, game 1 for Thompson. But now that you have all 4 lines performing the way they are, boy, isn't that just kind of a benefit that you're not, okay, how much longer, and you're looking at your watch before we have Tuck and Thompson on the ice. You don't have to worry about that. You really don't. All 4 of these lines, it was refreshing to see Greenway just batting people around and get rewarded with a goal. From the morningscape today, sounds like Sam Carrick is not going to be in the lineup tonight. Lindy Ruff didn't say 100%, but he went to the let's make sure he's good. And with Kozak, when we were joined yesterday on the show by Paul Hamilton, Kozak had a good game, on that line. So Carrick making sure that he's going to be good to go. Lindy Ruff even put a timeline of Game 7. So I'm not exactly sure what the injury is for Sam Carrick, but it's not an injury that you would really, really need him back in the lineup. Oslin, sure, it'd be great to have him, but you had Norris returning at the same time. So the injuries right now for the Sabres are not a concern. I think all their bases are covered. Their blue line is so deep. I don't think they're going to change it up at all. So that would be my expectation tonight. You just ride with these guys until somebody tells you otherwise. 585-866-4326, the phone number presented by Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub. There is a Yankee note today. So from the game yesterday, the Martian, low-grade AC sprain, left shoulder, and he's in concussion protocol. That's not good. So, you put the two together, he's out at least a couple weeks, maybe more. Enter Spencer Jones. If you're not familiar with Spencer Jones, he is the Yankees' top prospect. Right now in the MLB pipeline, they do the rankings. He's number 6 overall. At one point, he was higher on that list. Last year was kind of not, I guess, what you would expect from a stat kind of line. But again, it's hard to kind of tell from year to year. But here's the thing that you're going to notice if you're going to tune in, and I'm going to assume they're going to put him in the lineup. If you're going to call him up, you're not calling him up to ride the pine, right? Yankees in Milwaukee tonight. Spencer Jones is 6'7", 240 pounds. Like, are the Yankees going to run the 2 tight end formation with him and Judge?
Yes.
I mean, this is like, can you imagine that outfield? Like, these two guys at the 2 corners here. So I feel bad for Dominguez. He is somebody that has talent. And with this, I'm just wondering, okay, for Jones, here's his opportunity to kind of step in and get at it. We'll see how that kind of plays out. 2 o'clock hour also, where, Tim, I've got, yes, there's not going to be a day that doesn't go by where and granted, you weren't here yesterday, I wasn't here Wednesday. We had the Love Boat story regarding Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossetti, but I've got an idea I want to run past you.
All right,
that'll be coming up here in hour number 2 here in the Sports Bar. New bracket is out for the NCAA tournament.
Gross.
Yeah. In the sidebar, Tim, and I think this is worth restating. You represent all the mid-majors in America. By you, I mean Mr. Bonaventure, the guy who dressed up as the banana. We shared that photo with you. You can look it up online. Just Google Banana St. Bonaventure fan, and you could look at Tim in his time at Bonaventure. And I went to Fordham, and Fordham were terrible at basketball, and I don't even know if they'll get to the tournament in my lifetime. I'm not kidding about that. So, but that being said, now they really won't get, because if you really think this new bracket is designed to let more Cinderellas in, no, it is not. This is the pressure from the SEC and the Big Ten to get team number 8, 9, 10 into this tournament. 76 teams. It's kind of gross, right? All right, well, does this mean the calendar kind of gets moved up? Does it? The answer is no. No. We're not going to have an extra week of games. What this means is Tuesday and Wednesday, instead of having the first 4, what are we going to call this? First 12 doesn't sound right. Like what? Baker's dozen. I don't know what we will talk. We're going to be overloaded on Tuesday and Wednesday. And when we're doing our brackets, I've yet to see the bracket that requires you to pick the playing game. Are we even going to call these playing games? I don't even know at this point. The whole thing to me is gross, and I've yet to find or hear anybody from a fan side that says, yeah, this is great. More. Gosh, I guess it's great that schools get to make more money. The piggy NCAA gets to make more money on this. And I guess there would be some kids who will get a taste of saying, hey, yeah, I was a reserve and we made the NCAA tournament one year, I suppose. Dayton, that's kind of lost its luster, I guess. Like, you're going to need more sites for this. I am no way in favor of this. There is a time and a place for expansion. I think baseball is ready for expansion. I don't want expansion in the NHL, but I know that's coming. NBA, only because the Sonics got robbed. I'd like to see that market get a team back. But there's so many teams that don't try at the end of the season. Why do we need more games and more teams that don't try? Like expansion in sports, it feels like, can we just work on what we're having? And it's funny to me that the one league that could just charge $10 billion for an expansion team and watch the bidding process unfold is not doing it. That would be the NFL. News today from the NFL that this is so NFL. So the story in Seattle is this. Because of the laws in the state of Washington when it comes to passing on things, the trust fund of trust fund of Paul Allen, which is run by his sister Jody Allen, owner of the Seahawks, it has to go up. It was Paul Allen's wish, go up, and then that money would be donated, portions of that proceeds. Okay, great. Team has to stay in Seattle. Of course, why not? Okay, the process is going on now, and the NFL is concerned that they're only going to get $10 billion for this, which would be the record. Would be the record, Timmy. That would be the most money ever for an NFL franchise, but because that doesn't fit whatever chart or whatever plan or whatever it is, the idea that, hey, Washington got this and Denver, now the next one up is Seattle. I mean, it's crazy. Terry Pegula paid, what, $1.5 billion for the Bills? He could turn around and say, here's my $10 billion, I'm out. Let me sell the Bills, and it wouldn't surprise me if that happens someday. But it's mind blowing, and these are and I will still use this term on Sports Bar 2.0, aliens.
The word only starting or before the number 10 billion is absolute insanity.
It's right. Dennis Bernstein, the fourth period. I can't believe we were talking to Dennis about a Sabre playoff game all these years. Dennis Bernstein, always insightful, to join us next. Your call is welcome as well. It's at 866-4FAN. 585 is our area code. My name is Gene Battaglia, along with Tim Schneider, here on WGR Rochester.
So much action, we couldn't fit it all.
Equal opportunity employer.
WGR Rochester Sports Update.
Sabres and Canadians, game 2 tonight. Buffalo up 1-0 in the best of 7. Head coach Lindy Ruff giving an update today on Sam Carrick.
He's right on the cusp of going in. Like, if this was a game 7, I think you'd look at it that you'd probably put him in. Will and can he use the extra days? For sure. He's really not going to tell me exactly how he feels. He just wants to play. With the type of injury he's dealt with, if I can give him a couple extra days, I think we'll get rewarded for it.
Dan Dunleavy, Rob Ray with the call beginning at 7 tonight. Dennis Bernstein from the fourth period joining us next here in the Sports Bar. This just in, the NFL and the NFL Referees Association agreeing on a new contract. The CBA will last for 7 years. Rochester Red Wings tonight playing in Syracuse. The Knicks at Philadelphia tonight. New York up 2-0. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader. WGR Rochester.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Boy, when you're in the middle of a Stanley Cup run, at least you hope it is, how exciting it is for your town and how we've had to wait, not just years, decades for something like this. And maybe it ends this series. Maybe it doesn't. But somebody that we've been talking to over the years, where we're talking about NHL lotteries and draft picks and what should happen in the offseason, we can table all that for the Buffalo Sabres. As we're joined by Dennis Bernstein, the fourth period. And Dennis, it's our first conversation with the Sabres in the postseason. Dennis, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Here's how good things are in Buffalo. Earlier this morning, I was on the air in Montreal, and the two hosts had a question for the audience. Like, how can you hate Buffalo? Like, because there's no angst, there's no angry angst like there was in the Buffalo-Tampa series. And the listeners, they couldn't even come up with a reason to hate the Sabres. Like, well, it's been so long, and you can't really hate them, and they're a good So that's how it is. But yes, Gino, finally, after all these years, and I've already made my reservations for the draft. So I got that. That's already in the books. So I already have the flights and hotels booked for that. But it's been a great run. You know what? This isn't a great story anymore. It's turning into a great team. They'll be challenged. They'll be challenged in this series. If they get Carolina and they survive this series, they'll be challenged in that. But this is a team that deserves their spot right now where they are right now.
For the Sabres, Dennis, I thought it was important just for them to establish home ice. Now, you can win on the road, but hey, that Boston series, Boston took 2 or 3, and the Sabres pulled a rabbit out of their hat in game 1 to take that. But I'm looking at tonight. What adjustments does Montreal have to make here? Is it being more physical? Is it just sticking with it? What in your opinion needs to change here for the Canadians?
Well, if I'm Marty St. Louis, I'm telling my team, that team was 1 for 46 on the power play coming into game 1, and they were 2 for 3. If they go 2 for 3 again, they're going to win the game. So the first thing they have to do is make sure that the Buffalo's power play isn't a weapon. I don't know what they do, because if you're going to get goals from McLeod and from Greenway, you're going to win the series. It's as simple as that. So they need their big players to show up, and they really haven't produced in this series and in the last. Like Cole Caulfield, he has to tilt the series, Gino. Like, he has to get on the board. If he doesn't, I don't know where they're going to get the scoring from. So unlike the Sabres, who do have depth, and we mentioned what happened in game 1, if their top line doesn't deliver, it might be a short series.
Yeah, well, for the Sabres, for that matter, Dennis, like, there was a time where, you go back to earlier, okay, well, hey, if Thompson and Tuck aren't getting it done this line, what's going to happen? Buffalo has 4 lines here, and one, you could still call him a kid. He's 20. What are your thoughts on what you're seeing out of Zach Benson here so far? Zach Benson, Dennis, is the guy that, hey, growing up, man, I don't like Claude Lemieux, but I'd love to have him on my team. Sure. To me, like, Benson has already taken on this role, and people are loving it.
Yeah, and that's what you have. You have guys emerge. Yeah, and they're small, but they're not little. Another guys like Logan Stankoven in Carolina. These guys are coming through in a big spot. So, yeah, you could – and that's what you need to win games in the playoffs. If your big guys don't go, look at Tampa Bay. Look at Kucherov in Game 7. Hasn't delivered. Now, there's some talk about maybe trading him, moving on from him. But when you have guys emerge like Benson, like a Stankoven, those are the teams that usually win, It's as simple as that. But I will say this. Buffalo has to manage the momentum a little bit better because at 5-on-5, they only had slight edges. And I think the third period, and granted, they won the game. They made the save they needed to. But the way that momentum shifted in the third period, that's a warning sign. Like, if I'm Lindy Ruff, I'm telling my team, we can't get outshot 11-1 in any other period for this series because we're not going to win that game. So that's the one warning sign, I would think. But it's guys like Benson that you need to get this deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, they were a little sloppy. Dennis Bernstein in that third period for sure joining us. Dennis, I've never been to a game in Montreal. I would love to get up there. What kind of environment are the Sabres going to have to deal with? It's been since 1998 since Buffalo has played a playoff game up in Montreal. For our audience, what is that atmosphere going to be like, Dennis?
It's a madhouse. It's loud. It's great. It's passionate. It's 20,000 unpaid referees because every time that the Caps don't get a call, you hear it. But I'll say this: didn't the Sabres go into Boston against a team that won 29 games at home this season and won all 3 games?
Yeah.
So I would say, okay, it could be an intimidating building, but when I watch the Sabres performance on the road in Game 1, is this team going to be? Are we at the point where this team's going to get intimidated, or they don't think they belong? No. So it's a confident team. They'll probably embrace the atmosphere because it's going to be a zoo in Montreal in Game 3 and Game 4. But it should be a huge advantage because they walked through that fire already. Boston is not an easy place to play in. That team plays great at home, and they took care of business.
Dennis, if we just kind of took a couple steps back, and maybe this is where the ride ends, and if it ends here, people are going to be, all right, ready. But, how unprecedented is this? A team that in December we're looking at like, okay, it's another year we're shrugging our shoulders. This team is the worst in the league. And then all of a sudden, everything just magically clicked, and all of a sudden everybody grew up at once. Is there any parallel for this, not just in the sport of hockey?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like the 1991 Atlanta Braves or somebody like that. Like, what has happened here in Buffalo? Because honestly, Dennis, I didn't even think this day would be ever coming with this group.
Well, the talent's always been there. There's 2 first overall picks on the blue line. Like, no team has that. And it was Tate Johnson who ran. And then when the trade was made, he's a throw-in. He's a fourth-line player. All right, so the talent's always been there. It's just at some point in time, teams grow up. It's as simple as that. There is a parallel, though. I'll go back to 2019.
Yeah.
Weren't the Blues last in the NHL by halfway through the season, and then they put Bennington in, and they wound up winning the Stanley Cup in 2019. So there is a parallel here. But yeah, I think the difference is the legacy and the history because it's been 15 years, right? And you think it's going to be a 16th year because we're in last place in November. But it just clicked because the talent's always there. Something clicked. The message from Lindy, it just sunk in, and they put it all together, and they had confidence. I think it's cumulative, I think that, you get on a winning streak and you have a good month, and then it turns into a good couple of months, and the confidence grows for a young team. Because none of these guys have been there. But granted, there are some guys with Stanley Cup experience in the playoffs. I get it. I understand it. But the core of this team hasn't been there. But I think it's just a cumulative effect over time. They're just the team that had no confidence in November is a very, very confident team in May.
Dennis, one team that has been there and they've been knocking on the door, but they haven't gotten to the final. That would be Carolina, and we can just pencil them in, right? Like, Philadelphia's not going to win 4 in a row, so this layoff will be an issue for them. I don't see this Montreal series. What's the read on Carolina, this version of the team? What kind of opponent will this be for Buffalo or Montreal on the other end?
It's the same team that's been there for 5 years but can't get through. It's a team that smothers you. It doesn't give up a lot defensively. It's getting good goaltending from Freddie Anderson, and I think that's still the key. Is Freddie going to be healthy or stay healthy through the entire run here? But it's no different because, there's no superstars on Carolina.
No.
Like, who's their leading scorer? Like Aho? Like Ehlers had a good game last night. They don't have any superstars, but they play to their identity of, we're going to smother you. We're not going to give you opportunities. We're not going to let you get in the series. And that's what Carolina's done to Philly, and that's what they did to Otto before them. They never gave him a chance to get in the series. They just smother you. right? So the shot on goal, you're not going to have a lot of puck possession. You better finish on your chances, because if you don't, they're going to beat you 3-4-1. They're very comfortable playing low event games, so they won't be as thrilling as Montreal and Tampa Bay was. They will be if it's Buffalo, Carolina. It stands to be a boring series if Carolina dictates the game. If Buffalo can open it up and cause chaos, then it'll be more entertaining and high scoring.
Yeah, Dennis Bernstein, our guest here. On the other side of the bracket, Colorado or the field here, and I mean, Dennis, if I had a wish, give me Buffalo Vegas as a final here. But Colorado, your thoughts on the Avalanche here? Are we just kind of penciling them in right now to get to the final, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think they're the most terrifying team if the games open up, right? Because if I told John Hines before game one, you're going to score 6 goals in Denver, he said, okay, I'm going to get a split at least in the series in Denver, and they gave up 9. And then they played better. Yeah, look, pound for pound, the roster is the best team. Colorado's the best team, right? It's theirs to lose, right? They might get pushed by Minnesota. If Minnesota wins a home game, maybe they get pushed by the Vegas Anaheim series winner, but I don't think so. I think they have a pretty clear path. I think the big path was the big step to make was beating Minnesota, because Minnesota looked really good in beating Dallas. But right now, it's, Colorado is the most terrifying team, because they beat teams in low event series. They scored 9 goals. So whatever the way you want to play it, they can beat you. But I'll say this: the Sabres are no longer a novelty. It's no longer a great story. It's becoming a great team, and I think they could push it. Look, would I pick the Sabres over the Avs in a Stanley Cup final? Of course I wouldn't. Right? It's just too much experience, too much talent. But Colorado, I think, is clearly the best team of the 4 remaining. Not to say that I have an easy path there, but they should not be tested. And to be honest with you, if they're not tested in this series, they weren't tested really by the Kings. Like they're gonna breeze into the Stanley Cup final, because the West, other than Minnesota and Dallas, really hasn't been great this season.
Yeah, Dennis, want to get your thoughts on another story here from this week. And, it is the Mecca of hockey at Toronto, and that was a press conference unlike any other. So for our audience that, we talked about this earlier, but if you missed it, new GM, his name is John Chayka. He's on the podium. The team president is there, and the GM gets put on blast by a reporter. Chayka is somebody that was fired in his previous stop in Arizona, someone who was punished by the league, and the response to this didn't go over well. Dennis, is this warranted? What was your whole take on the situation up in Toronto with the new GM being introduced? Is that criticism warranted?
Yeah, it could have been, the question could have been asked much better. It was very adversarial. I mean, he didn't have to say, you were a sham artist and, all those other things, a liar. Steve Simmons didn't have to do that, right? He chose to do it because that's his brand, right? So, but no, there are questions. There's big questions, because this guy didn't succeed in Arizona. You could say he helped build the team that's the Utah Mammoths now, but when you look at his draft picks, they weren't very good. It's a huge risk, right? Now, what you could probably say is there are more experienced GMs out there that could have gotten the job. I'm sure that wanted the job. But I think this is an opportunity for this guy to reclaim his reputation. And I'm thinking he's not getting paid that much. So he's probably not getting paid a lot of money to be the GM, because he wants a shot at being a GM again. So I think that's it. But it's a huge risk. And now you wonder, what is Austin Matthews thinking? Or what's William Nylander thinking? Or what's John Tavares thinking? A little lesser because John's at the end of his career. It's a huge risk. I don't know if it's going to work. And there's a lot of work to do, Gino, with that team. Like it's a team that missed the playoffs, that is top-heavy with offensive talent, that doesn't have a lot, that needs to fix its blue line. So it's a risky hire in that market, and if it doesn't work, there's going to be even more criticism of MLSE. So, yeah, a lot of people scratch their heads on this hire, but for the right reason, because his track record doesn't align with the fact that he should be GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, and what do you know? At least win the lottery here. And I don't know what to make of Gavin McKenna. He's 18 years old, and I don't know if he's going to be the guy that kind of comes in there. I mean, if you're Toronto, do you dare shop this pick, or are you just kind of like developing him? And your thoughts on the Leafs winning the lottery here, Dennis?
No, I think what it does, let's assume he's not a generational player, Gavin McKinnon. Let's say he's a top 6 player. But you're getting a top 6 player like on a minimum salary contract. But with bonuses, maybe it goes up to maybe $2 million. So now you don't have to trade Matthew Nyes, right, because of a cap situation. You just added a top 6 player, and I'm going to assume he plays on the team next year, without any cap considerations. Like there's no cap issues. Yeah. So I think that saves them. So maybe you want to make a trade for a defenseman. You could trade a lesser player. You could trade other draft picks now, right? So I think that it's a plus for this team. And I'm not even thinking that he's going to be a Bedard or a Celebrini or whatever. I'm just saying top 6 player. You just added a top 6 player you lucked into it, right? So I think it will help. But when you look at this team, you look at their blue line, Gino, right? That's the reason they missed the playoffs. That's why they're not a good team. They have enough offense. It's the defense. So what can you use from an offensive standpoint that maybe trade an offensive player to shore up the blue line? I think that's the biggest challenge for Chaika as we go forward here into his first offseason.
Yeah, Dennis, your thoughts on the Coach of the Year here too, and this is something that popped up last week. Is here are the 3 finalists, and it's got to go to Lindy Ruff here, right? And I don't know. I love how it's the broadcasters, but somebody like yourself. I mean, you're writing, you're broadcasting, you're doing. I don't think you have a vote, but it's like your thoughts. So like if you did. Would it be Cooper? And it's our audience here, Dennis. You don't have if it's not Ruff, but Cooper. You have the guy out of Pittsburgh. Who would you vote for?
See, all year I've been saying Coop, but only because it's more like a lifetime achievement award because he hasn't won the award. Well, Lindy's team finished better than Dan Muse's team, but Pittsburgh was supposed to be going for Gavin McKenna in this last off season. They hired an unknown coach. They think, okay, this team is going to be in the lottery, maybe first overall pick, and they got 100 points. That was a great job by that team because it's not the same team as Buffalo. Buffalo's got young talent, young core. Right? This is an older team that people thought they were over the hill. It's very close. Would I lean towards Lindy? Sure, I did. I would because they won the division. But that's one hell of a job by Dan Muse. If Dan Muse won it, I don't think anybody in Buffalo and Western New York should be upset. Because when you look at that roster and you look at guys like Anthony Manther comes through and Parker Wotherspoon's playing on the top pair with Eric Carlson. I mean, that's one hell of a coaching job. Very unexpected. So it's going to be a tight vote. Should Lindy get it? Probably. But both the other 2 guys are very, very worthy candidates as well. So nobody should be upset if any of the 3 win.
And then the news from today, we've got the finalists here for the Hart Trophy for the MVP. Connor McDavid could win his 4th here. You get McKinnon and Kucherov as the other ones here. Dennis, how would you handicap the race here?
Well, here's how I would handicap it. And I do vote for these awards. So I vote for the Hart, the Selke, the Lady Byng, the Norris, and the Calder. Those are the 5. I also all for the All-Star game. I will say this. I had McKinnon up there a lot for the first half of the year. And Jim, just so let the fans know, I don't wake up the night before the ballots due and figure out who I'm going to vote for. I have a spreadsheet that I start in January, and the vote is in April. So I take this very, very seriously. I had McKinnon up there. I'd switch to Kucherov. But when Leon Draisaitl got hurt and McDavid went on that run during the end of the season, and he had 2 points a game without Leon Draisaitl and without Zach Hyman, and he still led that team. I'll put it this way. I'm leaning towards McDavid without saying what my actual ballot is. So I think that McDavid's going to win because of that last 20 games that he played with such a banged-up team.
Yeah, I mean, getting another scoring title to boot there. Dennis Bernstein, the 4th period. Tell everybody where they can follow you, Dennis. I know SiriusXM, 4th period, all great stuff here as we want more Sabres and NHL content, Dennis.
Yes, of course, exactly. So, like I always say, Gino, if you can't find me, it's your fault because I'm pretty conspicuous. So, Dennis TFB on X, the4thperiod.com, mostly King stuff there, SiriusXM, a hot stove, 11 a.m. Eastern every Saturday morning. We also do videos, betting videos. I'm terrible at picking games, although the other night I got 3 in a row. So that's where, and we'll do more coverage. We'll have Stanley Cup final coverage. And, Gino, like I said, I'll be in Buffalo in late June, but where it's going right now, maybe I'll be in Buffalo in early June as well.
Yeah. Well, Dennis, all these years to be able to meet you face to face, I can't. I mean, we're Well, depending on what side of town you're on, we're an hour away. I was just getting my car and
Yeah,
coming.
sure. We'll see. You never know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Dennis, great stuff. Appreciate your time. Let's do this again during this Cup playoff run.
Tina, it's always great to be on WGR Rochester. Thanks for the time. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Dennis. Dennis, great guy. Big fan of his work. I doesn't kind of saying the quiet part out loud that if Lindy doesn't win, it's oh man, how can we never have given this to John Cooper? We love John Cooper. It's not John Cooper's fault that Team Canada lost to the U.S. Look at it's hard to hop inside the minds of some of these voters, but I just kind of find that interesting that we parse everything, writers and broadcasters. Everything's blurry now. It's like if you're covering the league, you're covering the league. You should vote for things across the board. At some point, I'm going to put in my Heisman, just make sure we're voting here on the show here, Tim.
I would love to get a vote.
Yeah, we're going to represent here. Now, great stuff from Dennis. We will talk more Sabres coming up next hour as we'll be talking to our buddy Matthew Fairburn. Fairburn Friday returning here to the Sports Bar. As you heard Lindy Ruff in the sports update from earlier just saying, hey, it's no Sam Carrick. Sounds like, hey, if you really needed him tonight, he could go. Why risk it? Everything looking so good. But kind of interesting, though, that, and Dennis pointing it out, that third pair of the Sabres, yeah. It was a little sloppy, a little loose here. So, yeah, how did the Sabres come out tonight, and can they play a full 60 minutes? And, hey, again, if you've scored 2 power play goals tonight, you're probably going to win the game. Dennis Bernstein, great stuff as always. 3T coming up. Terrible time, Timmy's terrible take of the day, which now I have high expectations, Tim, because you didn't have one Wednesday. You didn't have one Thursday. What direction are we going to go? I have no idea. Calls as well at 585-866-4326. Gene Battaglia here on WGR Rochester.
And AM 950 WGR Rochester.
Hello, it's Gene. Rochester, such a beautiful time of year, right? It's also a reminder that summer heat isn't far behind, and if your windows are older or inefficient, that heat can sneak in quickly and drive your energy bills right up along with it. That's why I recommend Window Nation. When it comes to your home, it's one of the smartest investments you can make. And experts say windows can retain up to 80% of their value. So you're not just improving comfort, you're adding long-term value as well. Window Nation's windows are custom built for your home, measured carefully for the right fit, and installed by experienced crews, often just 1 day or less. And every window is backed by a lifetime warranty, which gives you real peace of mind. Now, right now, during their Buy 4 Windows, Get 4 free sale, you replace your windows and get half of them for free. Plus, there's no money down and no payments or interest for 2 full years. Don't wait. Buy 4, get 4 free is happening now. Visit windownation.com to schedule your consultation today. That's windownation.com.
Hello.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Couple things from the NFL. One, we mentioned it at the update before we had Dennis on. The NFL PA and the NFL Referees Association, don't get mixed up here. The referees in the NFL agreeing to a 7-year deal, so we will not have a repeat of 2012 with replacement referees or anything. Like, the NFL can afford this. The CBA was up May 31st, so they get a deal done. We don't have to worry about that. And then I guess we can call this breaking news because this is so NFL. Like last...
Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
To recap, last night they sent out an email or just an alert. Hey, the schedule is going to come out soon. We're going to announce when it's coming out. Okay. And just as we're getting on the air, they announced the date, May 14th. Okay, what time? And now, 8 p.m. on May 14th, which looks at Sabres' schedule. That would be Game 5. That would be like right in the second period. I'm sorry, I'm not like the Sabre game would have to be going completely south in order to be like, okay, I'm going to give this a rest and flip over to the NFL Network. Or there could just be some hero that could just leak us all the schedule. Like they did that with the NCAA bracket the one year. It was fantastic. So, all right. So, yes, we will have scheduled talk as we get used to things. But, again, the announcement of the announcement of the announcement. This is where the NFL has jumped the proverbial shark for some. It is now time for the man, the myth, the legend.
It's now time for Terrible Time Timmy's Terrible Take of the Day on WGR Rochester. WGR Rochester. It's Terrible Time Timmy.
Man, great song to get me fired up to rattle off some takes for you.
Takes. Wait. Who says you get multiple
All right.
takes?
Well, I suppose it's up to you. You can tell me when to land this plane, but I'm going to jump in because we got Wednesday, we got Thursday. On Thursday, I was put on notice, and on the beginning of the show, maybe you were thinking about giving me the keys. So let me take the keys, see what happens here, and then when it's time to take the car back, put it in the garage, you let me know.
Oh, boy.
And you just went and mentioned the schedule. I wasn't going to start here, but I will now because it's a segue. The schedule and the draft was really cool when we had nothing to care about. Right now, the Buffalo Sabres matter more than anything in this region, which has not been able to be said in about 15 years. And it is fun. You like to carry around, but give me 10 hours of hockey, no matter the teams. But now we have one that we really, really care about over somebody announcing formalities, which is a schedule. We already know the opponents. Now we're just finding out the puzzle pieces within them. And then we're literally watching kids get jobs. Give me some hockey.
Okay. That's fair enough. Like, games over everything else. We all nod our head, right? Like, sure. And we'll get to the gossip here in the next hour. The idea I want to run past Timmy. But, yes, absolutely, games over a schedule announcement.
On accident, another incredible segue. I'm going to put a pin in it, but mostly tease it a little bit. Dennis Bernstein has a vote. He mentioned it just now, and it wasn't even part of my original point. You know who else has a vote? Diana Rossini for the Coach of the Year.
Right.
A little bit dicey, kind of weird. That Coach of the Year, one Coach of the Year. That guy won Coach of the Year, and now,
Yeah, well, it wasn't by one vote, but why shouldn't you should put your name on any vote and be able to defend it one way or another. No more of this anonymous stuff. It's just a sports vote, and these are you have a conflict of interest. You know, it's the story is that, you know, little Mike was named after the uncle.
Allegedly, yeah. Sure. That's the alleged part.
But that's I don't need to know who he's named after. I want to know who the dad is.
Makes you wonder, yeah. And again, you have something in your diary, because I read it, that I will speak on when that comes out when it's your turn.
Okay. Thank you.
Going back to yesterday's point, I think that I'm in alignment with Dandelion. It was a great take, but I'm not sure if we're in alignment or in disagreement.
Well, okay, we got to, for folks who weren't with us yesterday, Dandelion, he's 2 for 2 on his takes when he steps in for you. And his take was this: how is it that the Maple Leafs won the lottery again at 1.7%? The whole thing needs to be overhauled. It's dumb. It's ridiculous. It looks a little shady. And I said, aren't there ping pong balls? Isn't it like right in view? Sure, but they cut the commercial break, and I didn't watch it, so it did leave a little room for you to wonder, did they rig this or whatever it was. McKenna going to Toronto, sure. Got to try something. It's been since 1967. So Dandelion said, just do away with the lottery. Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough. But he also said that he was tired of the complaining. Well, I'm going to complain a little bit today because I think it was rigged. I don't think that you can tell me I'm wrong. And I'm not a conspiracy guy, but my tinfoil ad is full on with this and full on with Rossini, and it is stapled to my head. You had weird interactions in the studio with the ping pong ball just kind of floating around there like a lotto machine, which it quite literally is. The last moment, some guy standing next to that had a tablet in his hand the entire broadcast. And all of a sudden, for the last ball, he sets it down and one zooms right on by the Winnipeg Jets ball. I'm thinking there's magnets in there. And to have it fall into a spot, finally the Sabres are good again.
Wow! So like, there's a magnet in the
Toronto ball.
Toronto ball.
So you've got that, and then if you put it together, the Buffalo Sabres lose the McDavid lottery. They still got Eichel, which was a great pick, and Eichel was correct, but that's a take for a couple of years ago with him wanting to get out. And then they were gifted Austin Matthews the following year in Buffalo, which Dandelion mentioned. And then today, or this week, Gavin McKenna falls into the Toronto Maple Leafs laps, and it's going to happen in Buffalo, New York, right when the Sabres get
This is air control. Land the plane, Timmy. Are
All
we
right.
ready to land the plane?
I'm not. I've got a couple more, but you can take it.
We're gonna say, you got
How
more?
late do you want to be? Because we can go late. I've got two more for you. Maybe we'll get the second segment, and I can play the Chris Kentucky song as my next takes.
That, ladies and gentlemen, that's Tim Schneider, just all wound up and ready to go. We will talk to Matthew Fairburn from The Athletic. He'll join us here in a little bit. You can join us as well at 866-4326. Hey, there's a point we're missing, something else like that. And to kind of follow up, we haven't even talked about Bill's rookie mini camp here, which is going on. There are some players that aren't even on the roster that are trying out today. And again, real action over anything that's not real action, and I would include a practice on that. So that's why, but we'll get to the Bills here as well. My name is Gene Battaglia with Tim Schneider, Dandelion here on WGR Rochester.
And everywhere you go at WGR Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. WGR Rochester, sports update.
Hockey night tonight down the Thruway. It's game 2. Buffalo and Montreal Sabres up 1-0. Sabres head coach Lindy Ruffin, one of the keys for tonight.
I think the ozone time is something that, when I mentioned the McLeod line and them staying connected, I think if those guys could get a little more connected, a little bit tighter, keep their feet moving from, the top of the circles down, where you can allow our defense to maybe get a little bit involved and allow a little bit of more ozone time. I think that's what we're looking at.
No lineup changes expected tonight. Dan Dunleavy, Rob Ray will have the call here on WGR Rochester beginning at 7 o'clock. Matthew Fairburn from The Athletic joins us here later this hour to talk some Sabres hockey. Rochester Red Wings have dropped 2 of the first 3 in the series at Syracuse. Series continues tonight in the Salt City. Knicks looking to go up 3-0 tonight. They play at Philadelphia. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM, AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Pull up a chair, stay for a while. You're in the sports bar on WGR. Grab a drink, hang your coke, and sports talk. Live from Western New York. It's a master show. 9 times better than your typical host. 9 times. Gene and Tim have takes much hotter than most. No one cares when you're out. Sabres! Bills! Americans! Red Wings and Nighthawks! Sports bar! For Rochester Sports Talk.
Hour number 2, and as you listen back to that, there's some Easter eggs in there from Sports Bar 1.0, but I don't know if Dan from Fairport who came up with that bit, and I'm like, okay, he's the winner for the new theme. If he's some sort of time traveler or something, because if you go back even to February, would we have put the Sabres as the first one right out of the gate? No, it's those are the teams. That's honestly. And anybody that wants to contribute anything creatively, you're more than welcome. We're on 1 to 3 locally, and as Dennis Bernstein said, hey, if you can't find us, that's your problem, man. We are accessible. Timmy and I. He's at Womp Fump. Again, that's a story we don't need to go into today. On next, I'm at my name at Gene Battaglia. You can also reach me here at Radio Central at gene.battaglia@odyssey.com. We will talk to Matthew Fairburn from The Athletic coming up here. Some Buffalo Sabres talk. We don't want to ignore the Buffalo Bills here, certainly, because it is rookie minicamp. So the draft picks are there. A lot of them are signed. And kind of going along with this, there's a lot of guys that have not gotten a job. They're just there on a tryout. And the headline story here being Jermaine Burton. He's not a rookie. This will be year number 3, and let's kind of review. Year number 1 with Cincinnati. Hey, he's a 3rd-round pick. Man, can you imagine him as being a 3rd receiver there? 100 yards. Bleh. Year number 2 was not active for a single game for the Cincinnati Bengals, which is saying something, right? Especially when their season was going sideways. You would figure he'd work his way in the lineup at some point. And then it's the weekend leading up to the game in Buffalo, where Cincinnati's still alive at that point, if you remember. Okay, they win in Buffalo. Maybe they're making a run. No, the Bills took care of that game. Jermaine Burton, I don't know if he asked out. I don't know if he quit. Nobody knows what happened. He's got problems from the past. And, look, to me, I'd be surprised if he ends up with kind of an invite here to the 90. It's one of those opportunities. All right, let's bring him in. And it's a great point that Ryan Talbot made. Maybe it's just as simple as this, that where can you get somebody in this camp that can go one-on-one with David Igbenhausen, IGB, like the 2nd-round draft pick? You don't spend a 2nd-round pick on anybody and expect them to be a backup. That's interesting to me. It's really interesting. What do they think of Harrison? What do they think of this guy at Ohio State? Some draft people, didn't like him out of Ohio State for going that high, I should say. So, again, it's we'll have kind of some news coming out of this. The team is on the field right now, so that's why it's a little difficult to kind of get any intel. But you're going to listen to the show up in the Bulldog. Capaccio will be on there later today. We know that, so you can check that out. The Bills announcing the signing of 12 UDFAs, undrafted free agents, and 3 of these guys have NFL connections, one of which a Bills connection. So John Fina was a first-round pick of the Bills leading into the 4th and final year of the Super Bowl. And look, John Fina is somebody, he actually has Rochester roots. He's got family here in Rochester, but he lives in Arizona. He went to college in Arizona. His son named Bruno. Now, is there a better name for an offensive lineman than Bruno? Bruno Fina out of Duke. He'll be in camp at St. John Fisher as a UDFA. Max Tomczak. Okay, yes. You know his dad, Mike Tomczak, but Max is not a quarterback. He's a wide receiver. Macklin, remember Jeremy Macklin from Eagles? Yes. Jamori Macklin is a wide receiver out of Kentucky. He's now a UDFA. You will see him at training camp for the Bills. And a guy out of Syracuse, too, Demetrius Weathersport, who started for the Orange, good local angle. Who was the last guy for Syracuse to make the Buffalo Bills? That'd be an interesting one to look up. We could talk some Bills football, and certainly we will next week. The NFL schedule will be coming out next Thursday, 8 p.m., which right in the middle of second period, Game 5, and I'm going to make the assumption that this is not going to be a sweep by Buffalo, that Montreal will take one of these next 3 games. I'm not flipping over. I will just look at my phone at the appropriate time and like, oh, okay, the Bills open up against this team. But it'll be fun nonetheless for a lot of people. I don't want to rain on the parade. It's just that when you have something else that is meaningful right now and something else that hasn't happened, and well, we could say the drought, but let's be honest, 19 years since you last won a playoff series, 19 years since the Sabres got this far. My gosh, the kids in high school never experienced a second round. Like this is something. So it's like, yeah, the NFL schedule, that's nice. We've got other stuff to talk about here in the sports bar. 585-866-4326. It's a very beautiful Friday here in the Flower City. Sun is peeking out, and a good day to get it out, get outside. The Red Wings will be home coming up next week. On Monday, boy, this is an interview with this bounce around. I feel really bad, but we're going to have him in. Dan Carey, Nighthawk team president, as they're beginning their off-season search for a head coach. So we'll get an update on the Nighthawks coming up on Monday here on the show. 585-866-4326. The idea I want to float past Tim. Now, the best piece of advice I ever got on the stock market, and I don't even know if the guy is still in town. The guy used to do buy time, and his name was Bill Tatro. Is Bill Tatro. And he said, consider like the stock market. If you're going to go this route and buy a stock, pretend like you're Barry Bonds. Like Barry Bonds, when he was hitting 73 homers, would not swing at anything out of the strike zone. In fact, he would only swing at the certain pitch on the interior half. And how many you picture the Bonds swing? He's not, Suzuki, much different. He's swinging at everything. But when it comes to investing, I'm going to only swing at that. That looks good. I have the stats on that. Bam. Tim, it's within that spirit. I'm going to present to you something sports related. And look, we are still driving this train here. Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel. Since the last time you and I were on the air together, there are the pictures. Cell phone footage of them on a dock heading toward their rented boat. The paperwork is there. The two of them rented a boat together in Tennessee. It's a spring day, and Diana Rossini is pregnant with her son, who is now 4 at the time. So is it newsworthy? Well, it just kind of establishes that this wasn't a night where you drank too much and you made a terrible mistake. I think these are two people who actually have feelings for one another, that they're going to these great lengths to conceal. that they're meeting around places around our country, whether that's the casino down south, whether that's a lake in Tennessee, whether that's the high-end resort in Arizona where this all started, whether that's the dive bar in New York City. We've got a pattern, okay? So yesterday's take from Dan DeLorean, he was just on fire yesterday. I'm like, man, this should be like a movie script, right? Like, this is something like you could really write a really interesting kind of. He's like, no. Like, this is Hallmark movie. I'm like, Hallmark movie? This is a Hallmark movie.
This is HBO movie.
No, this is not a Hallmark movie. Hallmark movies are bad. People are going to get hurt in this movie. Going back to the investing, and this is not investing. This is more of a wager. Now, I for the life of me, somebody much smarter has to explain this to me, right? I can't bet on the NFL draft, okay? But if I could, it wasn't a surprise that the Bills got out of the first round altogether, was it? No. Like, you listen to our show, we were saying this is the move, this is the move, this is the move. And I'm not picking up the phone and talking to Brandon Beane. Trust me, I'm not. And even if I did have Brandon Beane's cell phone number, he's not telling me, okay? But just using logic, yeah, that would have been the play, right? But we can't do that in New York State. It can be only games. Fine. So what is the difference between that and these prediction markets? Somebody has to explain to me how prediction markets are legal, but yet when it comes to wagering, there's a lot of things that aren't.
I don't consider myself smarter than you, but the single word answer is regulation. This is like the scientists concocting something before that could be regulated.
Well, that's it. Yeah, that's it. There is no difference. We're just going to reframe this, and it's out the door, and maybe at some point, but hey, I'm not – you want to do this? Great. Knock yourself out on a prediction market. So I am just going to the stats on the prediction market, Tim Schneider, because what are we betting on? No, I haven't looked this up. It's kind of – I don't want to go down the path of – one of these marriages going to break up suddenly? No. Push that aside. But Kelce is taking the percentages. Will Mike Vrabel be the head coach week 1 for the New England Patriots? What? So when this started, and granted, it's over 3 weeks ago now, they put this out there. And the money going on this in the prediction market, 81% of the dollars were going on, yes, he will be the head coach of the New England Patriots week 1. So after that has happened, we have just simply established that he's had an infidelity, and this has been an affair that's gone on for multiple years, and he lied about it. Okay. That percentage has gone down to 67%. Today, right now, if you went on to Kelce, 67% of the dollars. So, in other words, like in the last 3 weeks, there's been money coming in that says, no, he's going to be out. And I would just say this. What on earth would make you think that the guy is going to lose his job? What on earth are you going to make you think that the New England Patriots, the franchise that brought you the owner who went to a place that really an owner shouldn't be seen at, right? The organization that deflated balls, the organization that spied on the Jets, the organization that does all of these things, but yeah, they're going to wave their finger like, no, we can't have that. Are you kidding me? The owner was getting, like, stop.
Let me be a little bit self-indulgent here for a moment, because when I was on my generational run a couple of weeks ago with Casey Concepcion and Alex Lyon, my very next take was Mike Vrabel ain't going to make it to week 1. And those odds were at the point, like you said, were 19%. Now, if you extrapolate those odds to what Vegas is, plus 200 for the reigning coach of the year to be out of the NFL.
Okay, so there's Vegas odds on this?
Well, that's the equivalent. The 33% of him being out is plus 200 in Vegas.
Okay, so no. But this is the point that this is now going in our direction.
Right.
He's going to be the head coach. This is going back to my analogy of where Barry Bonds at the plate. I am not someone that is just going to throw out money. I'm not a philanthropist, right? But this is so dumb that people they're just throwing money wishing he's going to be out. The only thing I think could happen is, oh, you know what? My life is a mess. I need to save my wife and kids. I need to save my family. Okay. Well, it looked like that might have been going down the path when he took checks notes. 1 day off. 1 day off.
See, I got to disagree with you here because the reigning coach of the year should be minus like $20 billion to not return week 1 the year after he wins the coach of the year. This guy went to the Super Bowl last year, was the coach of the year, and now stands as the most likely, it's unlikely based on the math, but the most likely to not coach week 1.
That's why it's dumb. If I'm putting money on this, whether that's the prediction market or legally or somehow, he's coaching this team week 1. He didn't violate any NFL rules. It's the organization that traditionally has tolerated bad behavior. There are no angels. You had on this organization, you had somebody that murdered 2 people.
Allegedly.
No, he did. He was convicted.
He was exonerated because he killed himself. Is that the third person?
Tim.
If this happens, Danhausen has to come on the show because that'll be a 3-for-3 stretch.
No.
It's happening.
No, we're not. You and your wrestling fantasy there. I think you like Danhausen. I think you have feelings for
I think
Danhausen.
Danhausen is wonderful.
Yeah, I know.
I would high-five him.
Yeah, I know. You're worrying me, Tim. All right, Aaron Hernandez, like he was in jail when he died. Yeah, he was found guilty, Tim.
Yeah, but it was taken away. But it's a Massachusetts loophole.
Oh. All right, he's still guilty in my book.
Fair.
I don't need to say no. Like it's like he was. Yeah. Well, nonetheless, that would be my advice today. That seems like, and it's not as they would say here on BetMGR tonight plus money, but man, it just seems like really Vrabel being out. Come on, get over yourself. We will talk to Matthew Fairburn coming up next. Matthew Fairburn, The Athletic, talking some Buffalo Sabres. Gene Battaglia with you here on WGR Rochester.
WGR Rochester Sports Update.
It is hockey night in Buffalo tonight. The Sabres looking to go up 2-0 on the Montreal Canadiens. Sounds like the lineup is going to be the same tonight. And Coach Lindy Ruff giving an update on Sam Carrick.
He is right on the cusp of going in. Like, if this was a game 7, I think you'd look at it that you'd probably put him in. Will and can he use the extra days? For sure. He's really not going to tell me exactly how he feels. He just wants to play. With the type of injury he's dealt with, if I can give him a couple extra days, I think we'll get rewarded for it.
Dan Dunleavy, Rob Ray with a call tonight beginning at 7 here on WGR Rochester. Matthew Fairburn from The Athletic joins us next. Rochester Red Wings have dropped 2 of the first 3 in the series at Syracuse. The series there continues tonight. New York Knicks looking to go up 3-0. Game 3 tonight in Philadelphia. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Yeah, it's exciting times we live in, right? As the Sabres tonight taking on the Canadiens, and it's the return of Fairburn Friday here, as we affectionately call this segment. Matthew Fairburn from The Athletic, longtime friend of the show. Matthew, talking hockey here in the month of May, and it's fun to talk about lineup, perhaps adjustments. Doesn't sound like Lindy Ruff's going to make any changes here for tonight. I guess my question is, and I'm asking the question that you probably don't know the answer to, but the NHL is so secretive about injuries here. But what exactly, do we have any idea what Sam Carrick is kind of dealing with here? Matthew, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Excited to see how this series unfolds here with Game 2. And I'd say my best guess on Carrick is either, something in the elbow bicep region, which doesn't totally narrow it down, but he said he didn't break any bones. He said it wasn't his shoulder. And, you saw the way his arm twisted, that kind of narrows it down a little bit. Obviously, if it was a bicep, that's a pretty gnarly injury. A dislocated elbow might be a little bit different. And, there was kind of a weird timetable on the whole thing. So I think what makes it a little bit tricky is, this is a guy that's your ace face-off man, and, dealing with an arm injury at a point where there's, leverage and, part of your arm that you need for face-offs. I think, taking it a little slowly is smart, right? Like, this is not a case where, this is an injury that, you just suck it up and go. So I think they're being smart here, and they're in a spot where Tyson Kozak's playing great, right? Like, he hasn't been on the ice for a goal against in his 5-on-5 minutes. He's been a reliable number 4 center. We know that Carrick is probably an upgrade, but at the same time, when you have a guy playing well, it gives you the benefit of giving Carrick the necessary time.
Yeah, and that line, and then, going back to Game 1, to see what Jordan Greenway did, it's like, Matthew, like, oh, okay, this is why, you tolerate the time him being out. This is what any team would love to have. Your thoughts on what Greenway did in Game 1, and can he keep that rolling here this series?
Yeah, I feel like Greenway has had this type of game in him, for a while, but it's been legitimately well over a year since he's been this healthy. He had the core muscle injury at some point last season that he got a surgery on. He needed another surgery that following summer, heading into this season, and then he needed to have some sort of alternative treatment, and rehab program that he went through that finally got things right for him. And you saw probably the healthiest version of Jordan Greenway that we've seen in a while. And yeah, this is why Don Granato was, pounding on the table, as he said, when they traded for him at the deadline a couple of years ago, one of those depth players that really, I think, elevates in the playoffs. And, his style of game fits really well in the playoffs, and I think maybe even stands out more against an opponent like the Canadiens that, against the Bruins, he's one of those guys that's helping you hold your own against the size and physicality that the Bruins have, but he's kind of helping you take the game to the Canadiens when, he's one of the most physical players on the ice, and his size is a problem. He's got, such a great reach and some underrated skill in the offensive zone. So his ability to hang on to pucks down low and, extend possession in the offensive zone has been a real asset. And we know he's solid on the penalty kill. He's good defensively. So he's a valuable piece for these guys.
Yeah, Matthew, there's other players that I'd love to get your thoughts on. And certainly Zach Benson is the player that, hey, he's been good, but he has brought his game to a different level this postseason. And when you go back, 2023 draft, and he makes the team right out of the gate, I'm like, okay, this is kind of interesting. I don't think we realize, at least us from the outside, what kind of player is that, just the agitator, the kind of pest, the kind of guy, Matthew, that, all right, man, if you're another team, I'd love to have that Zach Benson guy. I hate him, but I'd love to have him on my team.
Yeah, that's him in a nutshell. And I think, you go back to when he made the team at 18 years old, and I think it was a combination of factors. One is probably like the way the roster was set up. There was an opening, but he also went and took the job. It wasn't, I think there were times during this rebuild where guys were handed stuff before they were ready. And certainly you could make an argument that the Sabres at the time should have built a deeper roster to, prevent a guy like Zach Benson from making the NHL at 18 years old. But I remember watching in the preseason and just thinking, this guy is one of their best 12 forwards. He is already, and part of it was we see a lot of kids come in at 18 years old and they have all the skill in the world, and you think this is one of their 12 most talented forwards, but he's not ready. Benson was almost like the inverse. It was like, his skating doesn't blow you away, his shot doesn't blow you away, but everything else, he makes smart decisions with the puck. He's a great playmaker. He's fearless in the corners, wins all his battles. The fact that he could be trusted away from the puck is what helped him make the team at 18 years old. And I think now what's coming out more is that playmaking ability. This is a guy that had 98 points as a 17-year-old in his final junior season. He's definitely, a really talented playmaker. And I think you saw that, in game one against the Canadiens, the two primary assists he had, both highly skilled plays. And you combine that total package and the fact that he's still 20 years old, this is a guy that you could easily see, when that man strength kicks in and, he gets kind of that extra gear to his development, that I think he's going to be a pretty routine, like 60-plus point guy on top of everything else he brings to the table. And there might even be more offensive upside than that. Like 60 points might be underselling him. But, yeah, he's been one of their most important players, and he's going to be an RFA here in a couple months. So he's definitely changing the price tag, I think, on that next contract.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we're going to have plenty to talk about June into July. Matthew Fairburn joining us here from The Athletic. Well, we'll just kind of set that to the side. We got a game tonight here, Matthew. And, yes, the Sabres won game one. Yes, the Sabres came out on fire. Montreal was the better team in that third, Matthew. Is that any cause for concern heading into game number 2 here tonight?
Not entirely. I mean, I think there were long stretches of the game where Montreal was the better team, and they won the shot battle, and they had their moments in the game. But the Sabres generated the more dangerous looks and converted on more of their looks, frankly. And I think it was encouraging the way they solved Dobish. He's the guy that sort of carried the Canadiens in that Game 7 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And, the Sabres came out and, they're a high-end finishing team. They're, they've got a lot of shooters that, convert at a higher rate than would be expected, by the analytics. When you look at expected goals, they're usually above that, and it's because they have so many talented shooters. And so I think that third period was maybe just a result of the score and, kind of trying to survive the push that the Canadiens were bringing. I know the Sabres would prefer to stay on their toes in that situation, and the Canadiens sort of dictated to them, and that's not ideal. The Canadiens are going to have some answers here, but I think there's something encouraging about the fact that the Sabres didn't play probably anywhere close to their best game, and yet they won pretty comfortably. They won by 2 goals, and at no point in the third period did it really feel like that was in danger. I would even say that Alex Lyon probably wasn't overly stressed in that period. I felt like his biggest saves came in the first period, not the third, despite all the pressure and zone time the Canadians had. I didn't feel like they were all over the Sabres in terms of really high dangerous looks.
Yay, the power play. Not 1 but 2 goals, Matthew. And well, that's the difference in the game, right? Like you take those away and you're playing overtime. My question is, did they do anything different there that you could tell, or is it just one of those, all right, law of averages sort of things? Your thoughts here on special teams, because the power play is going to be big for Montreal tonight, and certainly for Buffalo. I mean, it's been a point of contention for a lot of fans. They're not happy with the entries or whatnot, but hey, the end result is they got 2, in game 1, and that proved to be the difference.
Yeah, I think when you look at that second unit and their ability to make plays at the net front, that's kind of the difference I see in, how effective they've been. And I feel like that's sort of been what I've noticed all season long, is that when they're at their best on the power play, it's those plays at the net front. It's finding ways to, get little pockets of space for little quick plays like Benson and McLeod connected on, or just getting tips and rebounds and kind of being all over it from that standpoint. And I think it was the Byram goal. They had the traffic in front, and they just, that unit with Benson and Doan has 2 guys that are, I think, elite net front players, and in terms of winning battles, winning the puck back. So it's certainly something that the first unit can take away from all that. I think when they were at their best this season, Jason Zucker was piling up points with net front tips, rebounds, little plays in front. It's easy to focus in on Dahlin and Thompson and some of the fancy plays that they can generate and that they can put together. But when it comes down to it, sometimes, the best power plays have that. Alex Tuck said it the other day in the locker room, because he kills penalties in addition to being on the power play. And he mentioned the power plays he hates are the ones that are just constantly shooting, constantly creating traffic in front of the net, and something that they're trying to get to. And feels like a matter of time before this first unit breaks through, but we know it's been a season-long issue, and there's no guarantee they'll get it fixed. But I think having that second unit, maybe you give them a little bit more time here and there, or maybe there's a way to get one of those guys onto the top unit. I think it's a little glimmer of hope.
As far as from the Montreal side of things, now, hey, they don't want to go back heading down 2-0. It wouldn't mean the series is over, but what adjustments do you think that they need to make? What do you think the message is from their head coach, Martin St. Louis, to their team?
I think a big thing for them has to be, not just the time and space that the Sabres had, but the times that Montreal was getting caught, sort of on the wrong side of the puck, where the turnovers were leading to big-time chances. That's a result of too much time and space. It's a result of, being, too committed into the offensive zone when, a play happens, or even in the neutral zone. So I think, they'd love to get that top line going a little bit, and Suzuki got that goal on the power play, but otherwise they were pretty quiet at 5-on-5, and they were for the most part in the first round as well. That's sort of their bread and butter. Cole Coffey, the goal scorer, hasn't, had that same type of juice in the playoffs so far. So that's probably the number one thing. And I thought Dobish wasn't super sharp in that first game. I mean, that game-winning goal from Greenway is one he has to have. And so, that's less of a team-wide issue that Marty St. Louis can correct, but something that they have to feel like if they get a little bit better effort in net, that they're going to have a better shot of even in this series.
Matthew, I'm going to draw an analogy to what we saw here last year in Rochester. So the Amerks, Devin Levi, fantastic. They beat Syracuse in their first-round matchup. And then they had to wait 13 days. It was unprecedented. You have to wait that long for that. Now, granted, Carolina, they could wrap this up. They're not waiting 13 days, but they are going to be off. They are going to be sitting around waiting for hockey, you would assume. I'm going to make the assumption that Buffalo-Montreal does not go 4 or even 5 here. So with all that being said, is that a thing? Is it a factor for Carolina, or is just Carolina? Are they that good that hey, they could be the first team, as my producer Tim tells me? Like, there hasn't been a team in NHL history to go sweep 4-0 4-0 ever. Now we could have two right out of the gate here, which is remarkable. Your thoughts here on Carolina and the potential for them to be sitting around here a little bit?
Yeah, it's definitely a double-edged sword. I feel like there's the rest component that, particularly when you're dealing with injuries, it's rare to get that much time off, and probably can get some guys healthier and go in at full strength. But there's absolutely, I mean, even with the short layoff the Sabres had in between series, I think Lindy Ruff, called out that there were a few guys that weren't quite as sharp because they just were, that much out of rhythm, right? You hadn't been playing, and all of a sudden sneaks up on you just a little bit. And, so I think there's both sides of that, but Carolina is just such a good team, right? They're obviously, if they get to that point, it's because they've swept two series. Now, they've swept two series, I would say, against, inferior opponents, two of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference playoff field. So there's that element of it too, right? You're going from playing, I think, two of the weaker teams in the field to playing, probably the second best, whoever survives this series. And that adjustment might be pretty significant, especially with a long layoff. So we'll see how it goes, because they play again maybe tomorrow night. Is that right? Tomorrow night or the night after? Yeah. And, they could end up with 10 days. I think 18th is game 7 for Sabres Canadians. And if it gets that far, you're looking at almost 10 days off, plus whatever, comes as far as the break in between series, whatever rest they give, the winning team of this series. So it's going to be fascinating to watch. It's part of what was weird about them starting that series a couple days early. I mean, it started on Saturday, and the Sabres and Canadians started on Wednesday. The Canadians haven't even played game 7, and the second round's already beginning. So a little bit of a scheduling quirk on top of the fact that the Hurricanes are just absolutely rolling right now.
Yeah, that Carolina-Philadelphia game 4 is tomorrow, 6 o'clock. Sabres game 2 tonight. We'll have it for you. Matthew Fairburn from The Athletic, our guest. Matthew, tell us, what can we go check out at The Athletic? Because we need more Sabres content here this week.
Yeah, you can go to theathletic.com/Sabres. I wrote about Zach Benson this morning. We've got actually 3 of us on this series. Pierre LeBrun is here, and Arpin Basu, our Canadians writer, is also here. And so plenty of stuff from all angles. Pierre had a story on Darlene and Lane Hudson today, and had a story on Jordan Greenway after the first game. So yeah, there'll be daily stuff, multiple things a day, plenty to check out over there.
Great stuff, Matthew. Enjoy covering the game here tonight, and let's do this again. Really appreciate your time today.
Thanks so much for having me. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks. Matthew Fairburn from The Athletic, one of our favorites here in the sports bar. We've got some of your tweets, some of your comments. We'll get to those next here as we wrap this up and head to the weekend. Gene Battaglia here at WGR Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Yeah, some good advice I got from a good friend of the show, Tim. If you want to go see Sabres playoff hockey, not you, Tim, another Tim, just wait. Just wait. The get-in price for tonight, if you wanted to go, that's dropped to $265. Now, look, it's still an investment, right? You got to make that choice, $265, but that's not as high as it was. It's not as high as the $325 that's for Tuesday, but people want to make sure that if you're going to sell your tickets, you take whatever you can get. It gets even better. And Paul Hamilton joined us yesterday. Said, hey, go to Montreal on Sunday. Gene, take your wife to Montreal on Sunday. And I said, Paul, it's Mother's Day. Oh, yeah. Tim, and if that could be driving the price down too. Okay, when you do the exchange rate, you want to take a guess what the price is in Montreal for Mother's Day Sunday. Montreal loves hockey. Everybody are going to be dressed in red.
With the U.S. dollar or the Canadian dollar?
U.S. dollar.
I'm going to say 180.
191. 191 on the exchange rate. It's 274 Canadian. That's a good deal. Now it goes up for the next round, but just kind of wait on that. Just wait on that. And for Paul, he's right. If you get a chance to go to Montreal, it's I don't hate Montreal. I love that city. I respect their people. Maybe at some point, maybe Jacques does something stupid tonight, and then I'll come back Monday. I can't believe I said I love that town, whatever it was. You can write to us on X, our handle WGR Rochester. He's at Wompfump. I'm at my name, Gene Battaglia. Jeff writing in, I don't think Vrabel is fired, but I'd be willing to bet that he doesn't coach all 18 games. Time away to focus on my family, i.e. avoiding public scrutiny just like he did on the Saturday of draft weekend.
I think I'm on board. I think it might be before that. I know you're not.
No, but week one, he's there week one. He's there week one. And Matt Perino joined us on Tuesday. He was absolutely running his things. Whatever with Vrabel, look at the stink bombs that Drake May put up in the postseason. That's the reason there to be excited that, okay, the Bills are going to be fine. Look at the Patriots. Is that the big old scary team? The Bills still are in the easiest division in football. Okay, the Jets, they got Breece Hall under contract today. Bravo. The only thing that can make the Jets more interesting, Mr. Unlimited, Russell Wilson floating out there that the Jets want him. Please be a Jet. That would be so perfect. Russell Wilson as a Jet.
If you're not going to go away, be a Jet.
Be a Jet. When you're a Jet, you're a Jet. What is that, West Side Story? Anyhow, if I'm starting to sing show tunes here, it's time to wrap it up, Tim. If you missed any of today's show, you can join us on the Odyssey app. Download it today. 1 to 3 Eastern time. We're on weekdays. And certainly you can listen in bite-sized form. Dandalorian chopping that up. All the interviews, including Matthew Fairburn today, including Dennis Bernstein. We have those up for you to go back and listen to or check it out as you're getting ready for the Sabres tonight, 7 o'clock for our coverage. For Tim Schneider and Dan Drummey, I'm Gene Battaglia. Show up in the Bulldog next on WGR Rochester.